Just as I finished my house chores and was suddenly catching my breath, I suddenly heard a soft buzzing. Huh? My phone's ringing. Checking my phone, which had been untouched for the past hour, I saw dozens of missed calls. All were from my husband's sister, Bethany. Huh? Calls from Bethany? We haven't spoken in around 2 years due to a falling out, but this volume of missed calls is far from normal. While I was pondering over this, my phone rang again. Assuming it was Bethany, I promptly answered the call. Hello? Bethany, it's been a while. Enough already! How many times has this happened? Huh? What are you talking about? Your kid! How long do you plan on leaving them with me? I don't have all the time in the world, you know. I was taken aback by her outburst. That's because my husband and I don't have any children. But I don't think my sister-in-law was lying. When I told her we didn't have a child, she began relaying the events that had unfolded. There was an unimaginable truth hidden in her story. My name is Nora, 32 years old. I work at an insurance company. My company is fairly large with numerous branches. I used to transfer between various branches when I was single, but since getting married 3 years ago, I shifted to a department with fewer relocations. I was previously in sales, but now my job primarily entails office work. However, I have something in my life that's even more significant than my job. That's my husband Ryan. I met Ryan at a social gathering 4 years ago. After a year of dating, he proposed to me. I really admire you for your dedication to both your career and your personal life, Nora. I want to be a part of your life moving forward. Are you sure I'm enough? I'm swamped with work and I'm not very skilled at household chores. I don't care about that. I know, said a lot, but at the end of the day, I just want to be with you, Nora. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I want to be with you forever too, Ryan. I accepted his proposal and we agreed to get married. We had a grand wedding and pledged eternal love, receiving blessings from many people. However, our marriage isn't smooth sailing right now. It all began with a comment from him. You don't seem to conceive easily, do you? Huh? Look, we've been married for a year already. My mom keeps asking if we're expecting a baby yet. I see. But you're right, I don't seem to get pregnant. Considering my age, I'd always wanted to. That's why Ryan and I were regular in our intimate life, and I made sure to keep a balanced diet in my daily meals. But despite all our efforts, I hadn't managed to conceive in the past year. After some contemplation, Ryan cautiously broke the silence. Hey, I can't help but wonder, but you're not barren, are you? You mean, Nora, do you have infertility issues? I'm barren? The moment he voiced that word, a chill ran down my spine. I've never once contemplated the possibility of being infertile. I've always been in good health without any serious ailments, but now, was I incapable of conceiving? That couldn't be true. I didn't want to believe it. I decided to take an infertility test at a women's clinic a day later. I wasn't aware of this before, but infertility tests don't provide results in just a few days. It would take several months to get the final result. I cleared my after-work schedule and my off days and completed all the tests. I was speechless when I saw the results that came back 2 months later. Nora, your chances of getting pregnant are very slim. The doctor painfully told me, and everything around seemed to blur. Yes, the reason I couldn't conceive was because of me. And even if I underwent fertility treatment, the odds of getting pregnant were still almost nil. I listened to the rest of the doctor's explanation, but I couldn't digest any of it. How do I tell my husband? What should we do moving forward? Those were the only thoughts swirling around my head. What should I do? I never anticipated being infertile. What should we do next? What should I say to Ryan? Holding back tears that welled up, I made my way home. Seeing my husband, who greeted me with a warm welcome, the tears I held back overflowed. Nora, what's wrong? He hurried over to me. I spontaneously started to apologize over and over. I candidly relayed the truth to him. who was baffled by my sudden apology. I'm sorry, Ryan, but the truth is, I'm infertile. What? You are? Yeah. I've been visiting the hospital for the past few months and received the results today. I was told my chances of getting pregnant are very low. But it's not absolutely impossible, right? I mean, there are treatments, aren't there? The odds aren't zero. Even with fertility treatments, the chances of getting pregnant are still almost zero, apparently. No way. This can't be true. Why does it have to be you? What am I supposed to tell my mom? My husband sank onto the couch, burying his face in his hands. I was unable to utter a word in front of him. Alongside the guilt, mistrust towards him also began to grow. Even in my state of despair, he didn't offer a single word of comfort. We should be discussing our future, but he didn't seem to consider that. He was only worried about explaining it to his family. All he cares about is his family and not how I feel. I'm the one most impacted by the results of the infertility test. What am I supposed to do if he's so openly devastated? After that day, he began to grow distant from me. He used to come home promptly, but his arrivals became increasingly late. We no longer ate dinner together, shared the same bed, or spent our days off together. Everything had vanished. Before I knew it, we weren't talking anymore. I inevitably spent more time alone at home, and I couldn't help but contemplate. If I hadn't been infertile, perhaps my relationship wouldn't have deteriorated so drastically. We might have been able to continue living happily as before. Such thoughts are pointless now. We can't have children. We need to discuss our future. Yet, even though it's been 2 years since then, my relationship with him hasn't improved. I've attempted multiple times to start a conversation, but nothing shows but disinterest. No matter how hard I try to initiate a discussion, he's not receptive. There's nothing I can do. Lately, he doesn't come home until after midnight. Even when I ask where he is or what time he'll come home, there's no response. Our relationship has devolved into something that couldn't be termed as a marriage anymore. Then one day, Ryan unusually comes home almost on time. "You're home early today," I noted, which he curtly shot back. "Got a business trip starting tomorrow. You need to get things in order." Huh? A business trip? This is news to me. There's no reason for me to tell you. It's not like you're tagging along. I understand that. But you're not going to be home? I'm the one who has to prepare meals, you could have told me earlier. Stop with your constant complaining. It's none of your concern where I am and where I go. Stop meddling. I don't appreciate your tone. With a resigned sigh, he withdrew into his room, leaving me standing alone. Tears welled up in my eyes. It hit me then how insignificant I had become to him. Grappling with his harsh reality was a heavy blow to my heart. The rest of the day passed without any further exchange. As planned the following day, he left for his business trip. Watching him humming with a cheery tune as he departed, a wave of inexplicable emotions swept over me. I wanted to wish him off with a smile, but I couldn't muster one. I hated myself for it. Safe travels. I managed a weak smile and called out, but my words went unanswered. In a daze, I started cleaning up the dishes from the night before. I got myself distracted. I busied myself with the rest of the household chores. Just as I sat down to take a breather after my tasks, a faint vibration caught my attention. Is that my phone? On checking my neglected phone, I found numerous missed calls, all from Bethany, my husband's sister. Why would she be calling? It had been about 2 years since we last interacted, as an influx of missed calls from her was quite unusual. Living in the next town, Bethany wasn't one to get too close with people. She didn't even frequently visit her parents. Despite sharing her contact information, neither of us had reached out to each other. She was a work-oriented woman with no particular desire for marriage. I was trying to puzzle the reason behind these calls when my phone rang once more. Convinced it was Bethany, I hurriedly answered. "Hello? Bethany, it's been a while." "That's enough. How many times is this gonna happen?" "What?" Her reproachful tone took me aback. Puzzled, I queried, Bethany, what are you referring to? Don't act dumb. You told Ryan to drop her off, didn't you? Drop who off? Your child. How long are you going to leave her here with me? I have my own responsibilities. My mind ground to a halt at her words. We didn't have a child, but I couldn't imagine she was lying. My confusion rendered me speechless as she continued. It's one thing to take a break, but I've worked too. I agreed to help out a few times because you pleaded, but dumping the responsibility of your child on me repeatedly without gratitude is outrageous, isn't it? No, wait, Bethany, what now? We don't have any kids because I'm infertile. What? Her vehement tone softened significantly. After a brief silence, she apologized. I'm sorry, I was just upset. Can you come over to my place? Yes, I understand. I apologize for the confusion. I'll head over right away. I hastily gathered my things and made my way over to Bethany's. When I got to her apartment, I was greeted by a little girl about a year old whom I had never met before. She was crying, probably in a bad mood, and couldn't stand by herself. When I asked about the situation, Bethany began to explain awkwardly. About 6 months ago, he first asked me to watch her. I was surprised. I had no idea you guys had a baby. Do you mean Ryan brought her? Yes. He claimed you two had a short outing and requested I watch her for the duration. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, but since then he's been dropping her off more frequently. And this time too? Yeah, I thought it was just a day's job, but he mentioned he'd be back to pick her up the day after tomorrow. After that, I lost contact with him. That's why I got frustrated and reached out to you. I see. From what I gathered, Bethany was just as much a victim. Despite her hectic work schedule, she'd taken leave or shifted to work remotely to accommodate this girl. By this point, it dawned on both of us. My husband had a child with another woman. In that instant, an uprolled rage, like anything I've ever felt before, surged from deep within me. The audacity of him to push the boundaries of cruelty and marginalize me due to my infertility was something I could never forgive. I had sensed a chilly shift in his demeanor, but I was far from suspecting an affair. Turns out his late-night arrivals weren't because of extra work hours, but were relentless with his mistress. Adding insult to injury, he fathered a child with her, an act I could never absolve. Anger washed over me, but I managed to keep my emotions in check and express my gratitude to my sister-in-law. Bethany, I apologize for the trouble caused, but could you please ensure Ryan doesn't find out you reached out to me? But doesn't that mean you... I need concrete evidence of his betrayal. I need your assistance in this. Got it. I can't excuse my brother's actions. Count on my support. Thank you, Bethany. And so, without hinting anything to Ryan, I initiated my discreet operation to collect proof of his disloyalty. That very day, I enlisted a detective to conduct a thorough probe. Within a fortnight, I processed an abundant amount of evidence substanding his adultery. Unaware that his secret was out, my husband seemed to have asked Bethany for babysitting duties again. Receiving her text, I rushed to her place. My plan was to confront him when he had arrived picking up his offspring. Just past 7 in the evening, the intercom of her residence buzzed. When I, instead of her, answered the door, my husband's eyes bulged and his complexion turned a sheen. Why are you here? My question exactly. What's the lie you spun to your sister? This child isn't ours, is it? No, it's not what you think. There are different reasons. As he began his free-will defense, I swiftly pulled out photographic proof of his deceit from my bag. His face drained of color, I thrust the evidence in front of him. Why do you have these photos? This so-called business trip? It was a romantic getaway with your mistress, wasn't it? A call from Bethany enlightened me to your treachery. Huh? Bethany? But I warned her not to reach out to you. He started to utter these words, then abruptly fell silent. His remark made it clear he'd been crafting a web of lies. I addressed my husband, who was now visibly perspiring. Perhaps my inability to conceive played a part, but doesn't justify your infidelity, does it? Can you fathom the hunt of experiencing your playful shift in behavior? Your actions represent the worst form of human behavior. I'm sorry, I never intended to leave you, Nora. Excuse me? The audacity of your claim after having a child with another woman. There's no room for a future with a scoundrel like you. I'll never forgive you or your mistress. I sympathize with the child, but I'll make sure you pay for this. May both of you rot in hell, you scumbags. Bethany stepped in front of him, her gaze frosty in a way I've never seen before. This is the last time I babysit this girl. I'll tell her parents about this. Wait, please. If you do that, my reputation will... You brought this upon yourself. You owe an apology to Nora, your parents, you loathsome creature. No way. Then he collapsed in tears. Thereafter, I visited the home of his mistress, obtained the contact details, engaged a lawyer, and swiftly settled the divorce and the compensation claim. Post-divorce, my ex-husband and his mistress reportedly tied the knot. However, his frequent absences from work to meet her had led to his demotion and subsequent transfer to provincial office. The woman didn't want to relocate to the countryside and declined to accompany him. Their marriage persists. Oblique, she opted to live at her parents' home, and they ceased living together as a couple. An apt finale for them. As for me, I moved to a condo close to my office and embarked on a fresh journey. The pressure of infidelity diminished post-divorce. One noticeable shift was the frequent meetings with Bethany. The incident drew us closer, deepening our bond. Life can spring unpredictable surprises. That can be unnerving, yet also thrilling. From here on, I plan to value each encounter and lead a fulfilling life.